So the girls have asked me to talk a little bit about my life path in terms of career choices. So I think the best thing that I can tell you is that when I started out in college, I didn't intend to be a teacher, but I did know that I liked science. So I dabbled a little bit in healthcare ideas, and then I decided, oh, I don't think I want to do that. And then I received a grant to go to school to be a cytotechnologist. So I did laboratory work, research with microscopes and cancer cells. And it was interesting, but I talked way too much for everybody in the lab. And they became quickly bored with me, and I became quickly bored with them. So I knew that I really wanted to get back into the classroom and teach. And so eventually, by the time I was in like my mid-20s, I knew I wanted to be a teacher, and I went back to school and got my master's degree. But most importantly, I think it's important to keep yourself open to possibilities, because what you think you want to do may not be where you go down the road. And then I think you have to trust your gut instinct and go to your strengths, not your weaknesses. That's my advice.
I started working in school-like settings as camp counselor growing up. I was always a soccer coach, that type of thing. Worked at the YMCA, and when I went to college, I did switch majors a couple of times. I graduated from college, I got married while I was in college, and then got my first teaching job at an elementary school. I taught math, I taught religion, and I only taught for 1 year because then we had our oldest daughter. I ended up staying home for 19 years, raising 5 children, and along the time of that, I was just tutoring a little bit. I'm the oldest of 9 children, so I had my brothers at Loyola needing help with their calculus, so I was always doing a little bit, but not officially teaching. And then I was at the parking lot of my kids' school and was asked by the principal to come back, but Sarah was only 2, so I said no, it wasn't the time. And then when Sarah was 4, she offered it to me again and said, if Sarah goes to our preschool, would you come and teach for me just during the preschool hours? So I said yes, got my foot back in the door, and the rest is history.
I wasn't sure what I wanted to do for a while. I know that I had an interest in biochemistry, but I really didn't necessarily know if I wanted to go into research or med school. So eventually, I got a job with my dad from his air conditioning and plumbing company. Doing that, I applied for a job down at the National Institutes of Health. I eventually got an internship down there. And worked down there for about 4 years, researching malarial parasites, and eventually getting my work went after NIH. With my publication in hand, I went on to get my master's. I got applied to Catholic University, commuted down there pretty much every single day. I got to listen to a lot of Harry Potter on the way down to DC every morning. I got out of school. I was looking for a job, so I found myself in teaching. I got a job at my brother's school, which focused on dyslexia and other types of learning difficulties, and that was, how I got my start into teaching.
But the adults around you guys sometimes celebrate maybe too much, people who seem to know what they want. In my case, I did not know what I wanted in high school. I thought I might be a lawyer, but wasn't sure. Went to a liberal arts school, majored in math and government because I wasn't sure. Then I didn't know what to do after school, college, so I went and became a math teacher for 5 years. Decided that wasn't my calling at that point in time. Went back to grad school in applied math at Hopkins because I have a twin sister who had a job in the corporate world in applied math, and it was a pretty interesting sounding job. And she encouraged me to consider it. So I did that, and that led to a job at T. Rowe Price as a quantitative analyst, which is completely different than teaching. But I didn't think I wanted to work in the corporate world, and I didn't think that math was my future when I was in high school, even though I was good at it. I had my kids in my late 30s, which was another life change. I didn't know if I'd be a stay-at-home mom again when I was in high school, but that was something that made sense to me when I was in my 30s. We were in middle school, went back to work again. I had different jobs until I came back to teaching 3 years ago to Mercy, and I'm happy. I've gone full circle, started at teaching, went to the corporate world, enjoyed that, had kids, now I'm back to teaching. I never would have predicted any of that in high school.
All right. Well, when I was in high school, I actually did not even really want to go to college. My mother made me. And So when I was in college, I went originally to study old languages, but also I was good at math, so I switched to a math major. And I got into teaching kind of by accident because I went to teach ESL in South Korea for a year as an experience, and I liked teaching, and so then I was looking for other teaching jobs and taught down in DC for several years, and 2 years ago was hired by Mercy.
When I was in high school, I actually thought at that point that I wanted to be a doctor. And then my father was a doctor. I worked in his office and decided I didn't want to be a doctor. And so anyway, I went to college. My first major was math, and my first major was physics or math. And then I met psychology. So of course I majored in that because it's got everything in it. And I've had lots of jobs, but mostly they were jobs when I was in high school and in college. I worked in a boarding house as a waitress and as a chambermaid. And then when I graduated from college, I worked in the admissions office of the school I went to, Trinity College. And then I worked in another admissions office, St. Mary's College in California, and there I started teaching too. And once I started teaching, that was it. I fell in love with teaching.
So seniors, it doesn't matter if you know exactly what your path is going to be. We all think we know what we're going to be. We go to college, we major in things, and oftentimes new things come our way, or a job comes our way that we never thought about. I went to college and majored in medical technology. I worked in the medical field for many, many years, and it was lovely and wonderful, but I realized that I could give back more if I went into education. At the time when I was in college, I wouldn't have thought about being a teacher. I didn't even like standing up in front of people. I didn't have the courage or the confidence to do any of that. But by the time I was 15 years older, I was ready to be a teacher. Just be open to all the roads and the paths that come your way, no matter what, and make contact with people and save those contacts. You never know when you're going to need them.